Morning, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about some observations I've made working with various international development organizations over the past few years, rather than a specific research topic. I'm going to start with the 2030 agenda. So over the past decade or so, the international development community has made this big shift toward looking at sustainability as a major goal. And that includes through things like the Sustainable Development Goals. The problem here is that this is still based in this notion of infinite growth, of consumption, of sort of traditional development with kind of this ecological framework plopped on top of it without much change underneath. So the 2030 agenda ultimately requires a paradigm shift in order to truly achieve some level of sustainability. I think ecological economics offers one great framework to do that. So if we take, for instance, Herman Daly's notions of allocation, distribution, and scale, and we look at how we can retool the current international development agenda, we can actually make a little progress right there. So right now we can look at, okay, well maybe, Herman Daly's prioritization of scale, first of all, so looking at the scale of what we're doing within the ecosystem, prioritizing that first over distribution and then over allocation or efficiency. Maybe we're not there yet. However, there are some advances already beyond kind of a typical neoclassical framework in international development. So we can see there's some elements of prioritizing distribution over allocation already. However, we can't just then implement scale on top of that. We can't just look at things going straight from kind of an only social view to an only ecological view and sacrifice distribution, because a lot of the point of international development is to better lives by, say, redistributing wealth, creating social protection, that kind of thing. So we really need to switch from a social to a truly socio-ecological view of international development. That, of course, offers a lot of other challenges. For instance, ensuring that this doesn't justify colonialism, ensuring that actually the wealthier countries, the donor countries that we often talk about in international development, are actually holding themselves accountable for their own resource use and not offshoring things like pollution or resource extraction, but actually holding themselves accountable. And working with local communities in areas that are traditionally kind of the targets for international development to ensure that they are working with their own societies in ways that are most appropriate for them and the ways that they want. Additionally, I think that's kind of my main point here, but to ensure that this really takes hold, ecological economics is not the only option for this, but something that we can use as one tool, and is going to require a lot of input from academic organizations, from NGOs, from civil society in order to achieve a truly sustainable 2030 agenda. Thank you.